Welcome back to Football Park. Today I'm joined by Jake Cooper and Colin Kazim Richards. I'm Henry Chung, and we're going to be talking about Peterborough United's season, which has not been going too well, despite last season them almost going up, losing in the playoff semi-finals. But we'll start on some positives at least. Kwame Poku, probably the standout player this season. Colin, talk to me about him. What makes him so good?
I think what makes Kwame good, Poku, is obviously the actions that he finishes off in games. He's always looking to create, always looking to finish the action. He's already got 10 goals and he's been injured since for quite a while now. He's not due to come back till February. He's always trying to be the difference maker, if you want to call it. And I think that in itself is kind of what Peterborough kind of relying on a bit too much.
Yeah, definitely. I think you need a player of that sort of quality that can pull you out of games and, like, say, you're in a tough game. Obviously, League One, there'll be loads of tough games against like defences that'll just sit back against you. So you need sort of a player with that type of quality that can just score a goal from nowhere to win you the game. And I think the fact, like you said, that he's out until February has definitely been a big issue for Peterborough.
Who do you see coming in as sort of the person that can step up, like you say, to provide the outlet for right field?
I'm not sure. Well, there's that Mother's Ill that they've got, I think, the Peterborough fans. I don't know whether they rate him or not, but he's sort of similar type of player, I think. And then, I mean, apart from that, I think, like I said, I think there's a reason that they're underperforming so well because they've not really replaced him. And I think, like I said, you need that type of player. So when you lose, like 10 goals, something like 10, 15 goals and assists, when you lose that is such a big hole in your team.
Yeah, in fairness, it's not really been the goals and the goal scoring that's let them down this season.
Yeah,
it's the defence, really, and we'll get onto that sort of with the summer business as well, but just conceding so many, they're worst in the league, conceding 1.9 goals per match. I mean, how are you meant to get points on the board when you're conceding that many?
For me, and I think for the majority of people that are actually in football, games are won and lost in both boxes. Okay, so I think if you look at the stats, I think, and I'm not so stat based, but this is the reality. If you look at it, I think Poku's got 10 goals, right? Ethan's got 7, and Jay Jones got 6, right? And then if you see, they've took 45 goals in the other side of the box. So it can't be not so great attacking because Poku's out now, right? So you just said, you've lost how many goals? If we was to think of it, he could have had another 6, 7, and maybe another 5, 6 assists, right? And then you're leaking 45 goals as well. That's not great.
No.
It's not a dig at anybody. That just can't happen in football.
No.
It's impossible. And I think was it the Liverpool season where they was just outscoring everybody but taking a lot of goals, and then they didn't end up winning the Premier League because it catches up with you in the end.
Mate, I mean, what attack wins your games, defence wins your titles. I mean, I know that's a saying everybody goes to, but the attackers can only do so much when the defence is leaking so many goals. Like you see, you can have an attack as good as you want, but you could score 3 and then the defence will concede 4. And then the attackers have done what they've needed to do, but you've lost the game because of how bad the defence has been.
And do we think it's the summer business that's kind of affected that defence? Losing Josh Knight and Ronnie Edwards, their 2 centre-back partnership from last season, and Ronnie Edwards was, I mean, so good. And he's went to Southampton, gone to QPR on loan now, but the defence now is a couple of 23-year-olds, and I know Ronnie Edwards was young as well, but do you think it's an inexperience there that's sort of leading to those goals?
I think because we're looking at it from this perspective of they're not doing as good as they normally do, right? Yeah. It's easy to go, okay, it's the inexperience. But to be honest, 22 and 23 nowadays is not really inexperience anymore. If we talk about minutes on the pitch, it might be. But if we're just going to talk about age, I don't think it's quite inexperience anymore. What they're lacking is a little bit of leadership. You've had some big departures gone. You had Clark Harris, obviously, who's gone. He was a leader. He might not have been so vocal, but he was doing it on the pitch and being a leader from being the example, right? So when we talk about having not a lot of experience and needing older players, you could get a player that's 25, 26 now that's got 300, 320 games. You understand what I mean? So it's not really the age. It's more of the experience of actually doing so. But that has been Peterborough's system for a while, and it's just because obviously this season until now they haven't done as normally as they as good as they've normally done, that everybody's now trying to be microscopic and magnify it and look at it. You know what I mean?
I don't think they would have changed the transfer strategy too much. It's just like you say, they've always replaced a player and sold them for good money and replaced them well. And like you say, I think it was just this summer that maybe the transfer business was a bit off, and I think that's definitely cost them.
Yeah, well, the manager did come out and say he wanted to get some more experienced defenders in the summer, and they just didn't quite get it over the line. He says they're looking at getting some in this January. The thing that I think sort of defined them and that defence this season is mistakes. They keep either giving it away in their final third when they're trying to play it around, or they're not clearing the ball away. And in the last sort of 4 games, we've seen that happen quite a few times, particularly for that red card they suffered the other week. Do you think that's something that's, if you look at it as it's just a mistakes game, is that something they can fix and move on and it's not sustainable?
Maybe. I mean, it depends on the type of football they play, because we've got the second highest possession in the league and like high passes completed as well. So that's obviously the style of football that they want to go for. So when you're playing so many passes, you're going to get more mistakes.
True, yeah.
So it depends whether, I don't know if maybe the players are low on confidence as well, with them obviously like struggling so much this season. So maybe that's a part of play. But I think when you try to attempt so many passes and have so much possession, you're going to get a lot more mistakes as well.
Exactly. So it's trade-offs, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a possession-based team and that is the philosophy that your coach is giving to you, right? The coach knows within himself that it's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
When that team is able to break you down and able to transition into attacking now, where is it? Do you really want them transitioning on the edge of your box, or would you rather them transitioning on the edge of their box,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
So it's trade-offs, and it seems like the coach they have is okay with those trade-offs at the moment, which is fine for him, right? If that's what he wants, he thinks it's gonna see the benefits maybe later on, maybe now, that's okay. But to me personally, they need to be converting more up the pitch and then taking less goals, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand? Try and tighten that up. I can't specify how the goals have been taken. I didn't really do too much due diligence into whether it was inside the 18-yard box or it was crosses or it was through balls, what it might have been. But gathering from, obviously, we're looking at they are the second most highest team with the most possession.
Yeah.
It probably is from in and around their box.
You'd imagine so, yes. With the type of football, I mean, obviously, it's not just them. You look at like the likes of Southampton in the Premier League now, obviously, when they had Russell Martin, the style of football they were playing was very like possession-based and passes, and the amount of mistakes that they've made, the amount of points they've lost to the keeper holding on the ball for too long, trying to pass it to his defender, by which time the attackers, especially in the Premier League, the quality they've got, the attackers pounced and won the ball back. And it's so you see with that style of football, and obviously Peterborough, I imagine, are very similar in that regard.
Yeah. Do we see Darren Ferguson being able to turn this around, keep them up, potentially push for mid-table?
Listen, I never count Peterborough out. They always have somebody or a player or a transfer that always comes in and is able to end up either stopping goals or scoring goals.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, it's predominantly
Find somebody.
more goal scorers.
Yeah.
But for me, a big factor is if they keep Kwame Poku, who's out of contract and is also he's not up for compensation because I think he's 23 right now, right? Yeah. So he's gone past that stage. That's important for them. If they lose him in January, well, the month that we're in right now, I think that could be a big uphill battle.
Yeah, especially with the amount of goals that he's provided.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
exactly.
The amount of goals that they've leaked, you've needed the attack to sort of score more than the defence are conceding. Yeah. And if you don't have somebody with the output that Poku has, and you're going to keep conceding and then not scoring, that's not a good sign.
I do think they can turn it around though, because they're still playing the same style of football as last season with that high possession. If you look at the underlyings, that XG conceded is still the 7th most, but that's not as bad as they've actually been conceding. So if that sort of returns to the median in the future, they can cut out those mistakes. One of the big ways they're conceding at the moment is set pieces. Again, obviously that's hard to combat, but if they can sort of hone in on a focus like that, I don't think it's issues all over the pitch. I think there's specific issues that Peterborough have, and I think if the manager can sort of focus in on them, they might be able to.
Right, which set pieces, I know we've had this conversation, right, the last 3 months because Arsenal's been great at their set pieces, right? Corners, and this is what people don't understand. Set pieces are one of the biggest factors in football. Massive. Right? So now we're looking at the XG and we're looking at etc., all the stats, and you've just said they are conceding a lot of goals from set pieces. So what's the difference to a team that's scoring a lot of set pieces, right? You're finding your niche, you're finding what your team's good at, and then you need to find what your team's better at. At this moment in time, like you just said, they need to get better at set pieces, you know, and that means people need to take more accountability, right? And that guy, my guy, is not heading that ball. He's not getting that ball. Whatever happens, he's not winning that ball. You understand? And that's, then they can build from there. You know, for me, I like the possession, but it has to be useful possession, meaningful possession. It has to be progressive possession, not just 70% possession in our box. It doesn't make any sense. So with that being said, and conceding a lot of set pieces, we can identify now where they need to get better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that obviously the amount of goals they are conceding, you get better at set pieces, at least that's less goals. Obviously the defence maybe needs to sort out from open play as well, but you concede less set piece goals. That's definitely a good start to improving your defence.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's a big focus on the defence. That's a position of weakness. Goalkeeper as well, Jake. Talk to me.
Well, they've had 2 goalkeepers this season, and both of them have played 12 games. I mean, you're not gonna, if you don't have a solid goalkeeper that's playing week in, week out, and one of them's been dropped for not performing well, you're not gonna, like, you haven't got that consistency, and that's so important, especially in such an important position like goalkeeper. If you're like switching your keeper, there's never going to be sort of a bit of stability, and that's so important, especially in defence. And like I said, goalkeeper's so important. You don't have a stable keeper, that's obviously a definite reason why they've conceded so many goals as well.
Yeah, I think that could be one of the reasons, because obviously when you don't have a stable keeper, like you're saying, you know, the defence, it's kind of like a bond. It's a relationship that the goalkeeper has with his 2 centre backs and right back, left back, or whatever system that you're playing, right? But also the type of football, is their goalkeepers playing goalkeepers? Are they trying to keep the possession as well? Are they playing as a sweeper high up? You know, a little bit like Ryan Allsop at Birmingham. Are they trying to emulate that? But one thing for me, I know we're talking about defenders, right? But when Peterborough don't have the ball, all 11 players are defenders. So it might not just be centre-backs or the back line that is the problem. Might need to be pressed higher, might need more work rate from the midfield. There's countable things that could be the problem, right, when you specify it. And I just think that it's something that needs to be looked at, because 45 goals is not sustainable.
Is it the midfield as well?
Well, I was going to touch on that I think the midfielders are definitely underperforming. And I know that obviously you cannot rely on your defence that much. If the defence is weak, you need strong midfielders to sort of bail them out a little bit. And if your midfielders are underperforming in front of a weak defence, like, you've got no chance really. And I think that, like, Collins and Kipriano are struggling to protect a defence which is already very weak.
Yep, no, I agree with you 100%. Again, it's very difficult, right? Because when you are playing a possession type football, right, and you're trying to keep the ball and people are rotating, when you lose the ball, you're directly out of position. And that's why it's so important. People think when you do possession football, they need to do the counterpart of that, which is when we lose the ball, we need to now win the ball back as quick as possible. You understand? Right, or where are we able to lose the ball that's better for us? You understand? And that's why I say possession football is good, but depends on what type of possession you got and where you're going with it.
Where it is as well. If it's like you see, if it's on your box, if you lose the ball there, it's a lot more costly than if you were to lose it at the top of the pitch.
Exactly.
Final thing I would just touch on is that they've been using a 4-2-3-1 all season, but in the last 3 games they've switched to like a 2 up top, either a 3-5-2 or a 4-3-1-2. And I think this is, with Poku out there, they're kind of looking for different solutions, but it hasn't really worked in terms of like the output that they've got yet. But do you think a 2 up top can solve a problem like that when your wingers with your big output is out?
You want to
go? Yeah, well, I think that, I mean, they're looking for goals from somewhere, aren't they? They're trying to replace the, like, Poku's goals. And obviously we're on about stability with the goalkeeper, and I think stability with your formation would be very important as well. So maybe changing the formation, like you said, it hasn't worked out too well so far. Maybe the players just aren't used to it yet, or maybe they haven't got this type of players that work in that system. And maybe that'll take time, and maybe by the end of the season they'll go on a massive run and we'll be saying, oh, this 3-5-2 formation has worked really well. But I suppose only time will tell if they've just recently switched to it.
The thing for me is if you've gone all season playing a 4, a 2, a 3, and then a 1, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're playing wing backs. Do you have the personnel to play wing backs now?
Yeah.
You understand? Because that's a big difference. When you're playing now, you've gone to a 3 and playing wing backs, and from a 4 to your midfielders being your essential wingers, right? It's such a big difference, and that's where leaks can happen. I can see why he might think that, because having 2 up front might be focal point, might be different. We're taking a lot of goals now doing the possession right here. Let's try and get it there and keep it there. But again, if you haven't got the clientele to do that, I don't believe that you should be doing the systems just for the sake of doing systems. I think it's systems to fit personnel, clientele, and then you can progress from there. So, you know, it's easier sitting here to say what he should be doing or what he should not be doing, and only time will tell. But one thing for sure is they need to stabilize the receiving end and focus more on getting the ball into those dangerous positions.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, very quickly, Jake first. Do you see Peterborough United relegated, surviving relegation, pushing on for mid-table?
Well, I think they'll stay up. Like we said, I think they have got some quality there. I think the squad is better than where they are. I think it's just, like you say, the managers maybe not getting the best out of them, changing system, changing goalkeepers, players just underperforming, like lack of confidence. I think they'll stay out of it. I think they'd snap your hand off for mid-table right now. I think I could see them finishing about mid-table. Yeah.
Colin?
I think Peterborough definitely stay up. I think because their recruitment team's quite good, and I think they're definitely on it right now. Yeah. You know, that's one thing you can say. They always do it. They always find a way. Their recruitment team, and then their managers, who they've had. Not just Ferguson, obviously they've had others as well that are able to get the best out of the squad and understand what they are actually good at. So for me, yeah, Peterborough stay up.
Yeah, I think it's January is huge, but if they bring in some experienced players, they've still got the manager from last season that helped them do so well, still playing similar style of football. I think they'll be all right. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Make sure you hit a like, subscribe, and comment down below whether you think Peterborough United are staying up. We'll catch you guys later.